Welcome to the Chell Show, folks. Today we have a looks like a Predator 6500. 6500 watts. It's a 302cc generator here. Apparently it won't start. So it's a buddy of mine. He says that it won't start. It's ran good. He's been working on a house or building a house, and all of a sudden it just stopped. So first things first, anytime something of mine hasn't started in a while, or somebody tells me it ain't started, first thing I do is try to start it. So let's see if we can get this thing started. I don't even know how to start this thing. Alright, looks like it's been sitting out in the weather. Give it a good old oil check. I did get hauled here. So if something's hauled, especially small engines, I think it's pretty wise to go ahead and just check the oil. I actually had a air compressor one time that I hauled it somewhere and wasn't much oil at all come out, but ended up being dry when I checked it. So that shows it on the stick. And that's another thing, without the owner's manual to this stuff, I don't know if, are you supposed to screw it in to check the oil and unscrew it? I always get confused on that. You got lawnmowers, you know, small lawnmowers, push mowers. So that's right on the bottom of the hash mark. So I don't know how smart this thing is, but I think I'm going to, first of all, add some oil to it, because yeah, I doubt it's that smart, but check oil level, step one. Alright, so I'm gonna throw just a little bit of 1040 in it, or 1030, I'm sorry. Start off with about a quarter of a quart. This quart is open, so that is black motor oil. That is not what I want to dump in that. Sure, good thing I caught that, huh? Clean this out a little bit, because for some reason I must have dumped that oil in the jug to dispose of it, and then got confused on which was which. That feels new. It's definitely new. So that didn't take much, but it's full now. It shows 1030 right here. It actually shows check it with the threads out, so that make it almost all the way full up. So let's try to get this thing running. I don't know if y'all are gonna be able to hear anything or not. Well, that's dumping gas out. Might have been from just moving it around. Probably use a good cleaning. Sprayed, not sprayed. That is another mess in here. Not really sure what's on and what's off. I don't like all these electronics on it. Low oil alert. So I guess we'll take this fuel line off and see if it's getting fuel. That's on. That's on. So let's get fuel out of the petcock. The peacock. So I guess we'll go into spark. See if it's getting spark. If it is, then we'll move on back to the carburetor. It ain't hitting the lick anyway, so here's the spark plug. We'll get that pulled out. Get rid of the check here. Well, that's nice. The gas tank's in the way. Just keeps coming, just keeps coming. Oh my goodness, look at this. That is one of the worst, not the worst spark plug I've ever seen in my life. So we'll try to get it cleaned up and see if we can get it running and see if that's the problem. I would have to imagine that's the problem. I've never seen one corroded up that much and junked up that much. This thing's running rough. Or it's ran a long time without a spark plug. So let's see if we can get this cleaned up. So we'll see if we can get it running first, and then we'll take it to town and get a spark plug if that's the case. We'll clean on this a little bit more. Had an old buddy of mine, I had that old 8-inch tractor one time, and I rebuilt it's got Zenith carburetor on it, and they're about $300, I think. They're real good brand. And I had this carburetor, and I had rebuilt this carburetor I don't know how many times, and I still couldn't get this thing to run right. Fought with it. Finally, you know, I'm talking to one of my buddies. He's older than me, and I said, "Hey, I need an old man to work on an old tractor." I said, "I went through this carburetor 100 times. Let me get a gauge." I said, "I've worked on this carburetor 100 times. Yeah, that's over 40 thou." I'll actually probably close that up a little bit. And he's like, "Did you replace the spark plugs?" And I said, "No, I've taken them out and I've cleaned them." You know, we replace spark plugs, what, 50,000 miles or something crazy like that. And he said, "Replace the spark plugs." And I just fought with him. I kind of blew it off. I said, "No, it's in this carburetor. I ain't adjusting something right in this carburetor." And he's like, "Well, I'll come and help you, you know." So a couple days later, he still hadn't had a chance to get out to me. And I said, "Hey, you know, you want to come out and work on this?" And he said, "You replace the carburetor or the spark plugs?" I said, "No, it ain't the spark plugs, man." He said, "Well, you never know if they've been gassed out too much." He finally comes to the house. First thing he does when he walks to the garage, "You replacing the spark plugs?" I said, "You know what, dang it." I said, "Let's go get some spark plugs." We drive all the way out town, I'll pop one out, drive out town, get some Motorcraft plugs forward, throw spark plugs in there, and it was almost immediately this thing started running better. So I guess the moral of the story is change the spark plug, because it might do it. So, and look at that spark plug. So let's see what she looks like, see if we can get some spark out of it. I don't know if y'all are gonna be able to see this, but you gotta ground out a spark plug to check it. You ground it out against the motor and then hold it. It will shock you if you ain't careful, but it won't, unless you ain't got a pacemaker or something. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's sparking right now. So let's pop this spark plug back in. Let's see if she'll run. Throw some carb cleaner down in there. got something that ain't working. It's a little bit of tinkering with it, and it's working. Now, that was a, I don't know what you want to call it, super easy fix. Start off with the basics. You need 3 things to run. You need air, you need fuel, and you need spark. Just like a fire, you need something to burn, you need air, and you need spark to start a fire. Well, it's a fire inside there. So first thing you check, fuel. I'm getting fuel to the petcock, so I know I'm getting it into the carburetor. The next easiest thing to check will be the spark plug. So I went to the spark plugs y'all seen. It was dirty, cleaned it up on a wire wheel. It needs a new one. I'll probably go get a new one now that I know that was the problem. Slap a new one in, deliver it back to my buddy down there. If the spark plug was clean, or I cleaned it and that still didn't run, I would probably still want to replace it as dirty as it was. But let's say it was clean, it looked completely fine. I'd throw it back in there after check the spark, and then I'd take this housing off and get to the carburetor, and I'd take the bowl out. On these little engines, there's about every single one of them has gonna have a carburetor that looks something similar to this. Well, you got a float in here, and they call it the bowl, is on the bottom. So the butterfly flies in here, and that's what opens and closes the butterfly right there. You open it up, allows more air to come in, allows more vacuum, allows more fuel to come in, which makes the motor run faster. All right, and that's all up here in this part of the carburetor, up top here. On the bottom's a float. I would venture to say 90% of the time when you have a carburetor problem in that float, you take that float off and there's a little plastic piece in there. There's an issue with there. That plastic piece will fall, and let's get y'all set up. So you got the bowl, and then inside that bowl you got, it's like a toilet bowl plunger or a float, and when it's out of fuel, it falls down, and it has a little, they call it a needle or a jet. And when it falls down, that jet will open up and allow that bowl to fill up with fuel, and then it'll close that float. So while it's running, that float's kind of just sitting there taking fuel when it needs fuel, and stopping when it doesn't. So when you shut it off, it fills up and stops. If you have a carburetor that's running gas out like it was, good chance is that carburetor is that float is falling down, allowing the carburetor to fill up and gas to flow out. But 90% of the time you get in there and take that float out, be real careful. It's delicate, real tedious work, but you take that float out, make sure you have a good clean surface, somewhere to lay all the parts. Make sure you know how you take it back, possibly take pictures. Everybody's got phones nowadays. Take pictures of it as you take it apart so you know how to put it back together. Pull the little pin out, pull the float out, pull the needle out, clean the needle real carefully, clean up inside the carburetor out there, get a can of carburetor cleaner, and be very liberal with it. Just spray in every orifice, every hole, just douse it down. Clean everything up, put it back together, make sure that float ain't full of fuel. I've seen them floats full of fuel, which causes it to sit down and sink in the fuel, and then sit there and fill up, and you'll have all kinds of problems. It'll be running rich, you'll be dumping out of the carburetor. So they're real simple. These little motors like this are real simple. You know, I can't vouch for Predator, you know, the Harbor Freight brand. I can't vouch for it. So, and this ain't my machine, this ain't my generator, but I know he's pretty much built a whole house and use this generator. So yeah, it's probably been a pretty good one. I have heard some good things about it. I'll probably change the oil on it. Yeah, let's change the oil on it. Let's see if I got enough oil. I'll change the oil on it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and change the oil for it. And it's either this bolt or there's one exactly like it on the other side. I'll probably break both of them free and see what comes out, and make sure there's not like a cavity or a separator in between. But yeah, let's get this oil out of here and get some fresh in it. Probably never had it. Good old kitty litter cat pan, oil pan. That'll be one. Oh no, it's draining on my workbench. Then we'll check the other side and see if for some, I don't know why there's two. Maybe convenience, maybe it's a convenience thing, or you know, they put this motor on multiple things. So maybe that's, I'll flip you around. I broke it loose. It looks like it's got the same washer, so I think it's more of a convenience thing, or where they use this motor on different things, so you have two different sides to get oil or drain the oil from in case this side's closed off or blocked off. You know, they don't build these motors just for this specific generator. They probably build them for all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But I have known of vehicles, motors, something, I don't know exactly what it was, but I knew of a something I did an oil change on one time, had a, like it had compartments inside the block. So you drain it out of this side. I think it was that old dump truck. Maybe it was a transmission on a dump truck, but you pull this drain plug and it drains out so much, and then it'll stop, and then there's another drain plug you have to pull out because it sits lower in the block, and then the oil can't get over. So yeah, let's get some oil in this thing. Well, he wasn't recording for that, but I dumped oil in it. Story of my life so far. And I don't think I have enough. I need about quarter of a quart more, it looks like. Barely out of the hash mark, so I need just like a quarter of a quart. Let's see if I can find some. I'm gonna tip this thing up because according to this diagram, I check it with the thread out, and it's just as fighting me taking it in. Give me a little bit more of an angle, huh? Maybe it'd take more than I thought. It's like it's steam. I don't know if it's been outside in the rain, maybe. It did rain on it this morning. See if it clears up. That sounds weird to me. I don't know if there's supposed to be a resistor in that. Oh, there is a resistor in that. So I'm gonna take that resistor out because that sounds like it's got pressure under it. So we'll zip these out and see if I can't get to that. Yeah, that's also why the spark plug was so jammed up. That's in rough shape right there. See how it sounds now. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, that should be a screen. So you can see through that side. This side you can't. And that's after knocking all the crap out of it. Like it's a solid caked up gunk. Like there's so much silt on that. Look at that. Yeah. I always take these things out. It's a spark arrestor is what it is. It prevents you from, only you can prevent forest fires. Yeah, well, it also messes up your motor. So if you're not using this out camping in the woods, then I don't really see the need of having one. That's got holes in it. Now you can see through it. It's got holes all in it. It's nastiness. Come out of that. Now, I might clean this up, put it back in. Just in case, you know, I don't know what he's plans on doing with it, but. Take a wire brush to it. Yeah, that's much better. We'll pop that back in there. I thought it had holes in it, but it's just where the seam is. So, like I said, I always take them out. Doesn't seem to be an option for some people. I'm sure the YouTube world is not an option. So back to the basics of it. Like I said, I was explaining, is it getting fuel? Is it getting air? Is it getting fuel? Is it getting spark? If it is all those, go to the carburetor. This is another one right there. I don't know how many times I've had, I mean, just look at this mess. I don't know how many times I've had a, that just come out of that screen. I don't know how many times I've had a weed whacker or something, or a chainsaw. I mean, I take them out of all that crap because it's just that's just not good. And once you get that much back pressure, that's why that spark plug looked like that. So I'm gonna suggest to him to replace the spark plug, or tell him he needs to, because I don't know if I'll be going out town now that I had the oil. But that's all back together, so we put this back together. Now I've broke it. Alright folks, I think that's gonna wrap this one up. Just a little bit of maintenance on one of these generators, which can be the same for any of these little small engines, any of these little motors. You know, you got your oil and the drain plugs on the bottom. That's a real simple job to do. Real simple troubleshooting right there. So, like I said, it's just like a fire. Imagine a fire inside there. If you know anything about fires, like I said, it needs oxygen, fuel, and ignition to create a fire. Well, that's the same thing inside of a motor. It needs air, so go to the carburetor. It needs fuel, go to the fuel source, and then work your way to the carburetor, make sure it's getting fuel, and then it needs spark, so go to the spark plug. And then you can go outside of that, which this thing was running, as you've seen, but I just went ahead and checked that spark arrestor on all these small engines anymore. The government or whoever decides to screw everything up and tries to put these spark arrestors and DPF and all these computers on everything to make them run clean, and it just messes everything up. They just don't last as long as they used to back in the day, you know, before my time. And so you got to check a couple other things like that. But I just beat that out, cleaned it up. I didn't know if he wanted it in or out, and so I put that back together. Now the thing's pulling on, you know, first pull. If you pull it hard enough, first pull's firing back up. So we're gonna get this thing loaded up and take it back to my buddy. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching the Chilton Show, and I'll catch you on the next one. God bless.